franchise record with a 49-point win. They set a franchise record with 154 points scored. They blow the Sacramento Kings out. They get back on the winning ways, and they head to Phoenix with only a one-game lead in the Western Conference as the Phoenix Suns remarkably keep winning with a win over the LA Clippers. We're talking about it all coming up on POSTCAST. POSTCAST is brought to you by our friends at Grip 6 Belts. Grip 6, what do I have today? I have the silver Grip 6 belt on. Grip 6 belts with the no flaps, no holes, no bulk. The best fitting belt on the market. It's Grip 6. It's also brought to you by our friends at Biograss with the BigYellowBag.com. $40 off your Big Yellow Bag for the get your backyard in great shape with our friends over at Biograss. All right, let's open up the chat room. We are live on Twitch. We are live on YouTube. We are live on Facebook, and we are live on Periscope. Want your comments and your thoughts on this one. This one, the Jazz were good, and the Kings are awful. You can't win by 54 without someone being truly awful, frankly. But that, I think, or score 154 with someone actually trying defensively. But give the Jazz credit. They moved the ball. Bojan was incredibly aggressive. George Niang did a fabulous job of getting open looks. He's such a great story of where he and how he has developed throughout his career. George Niang, and I'll talk about this more on Locked On Jazz tomorrow. Right now, he's shooting the same percentage from the corners above the break. Before that, he was just a corner three shooter and not an above the break shooter. Before that, he wasn't even a three-point shooter. He had to learn that. Go back to college, and he was a complete down-low second leading scorer in Iowa State with a very, very little play on the outside. And now he's a dead-eye 40+% three-point shooter. He came in at 41%. He goes 5 of 7 today. He has 19 points. He's been rebounding terrifically recently. He's got a career high in minutes and points and rebounds. It's just an incredible story. And frankly, he's hot too. You know, the other aspect of this is he came into this game tonight hitting 11 of his last 18 from three. He's shooting 46% from three in his last 10 games. He's absolutely stepping his game up, and he's been terrific defensively this year. It's just and he's the best dude you'll ever meet. Like, he's the guy I miss more than anyone else, having not interacted with the players in 14 months. And other than the fact that that's the equivalent of having my hands tied behind my back and trying to do a Rubik's Cube while doing this job, other than that, it's the sad part of it is the fact that I have not got to see George Niang, because the guy just emanates energy and positivity to everybody he interacts with. Yes, I said doing this job this year is like having my hands tied behind my back while trying to do a Rubik's Cube. That, I think, is the perfect analogy. That's my smile. I'm always a little salty after road games, if you haven't noticed. It's impossible to call a radio game off a television screen, if anyone's wondering. Just thought I'd share that. 46-17 was the score in the second quarter. It's one of the largest margins ever in a quarter. The Jazz then had the most points they've ever scored through 3 quarters. They had the most points they've ever scored through 4 quarters. They moved it. They swung it. You know, like Mike Wells joins us at halftime. He's incredible. He gives amazing insight. He had like this point about how well the Jazz are playing, and I couldn't actually tell whether it was it actually sums up the night, because it tells you the Jazz had a good energy level, and it's an incredible indictment on the Kings. At halftime, the Kings had missed 30 shots and had no second chance points. Think about that for a second. They had missed 30 shots and had 0 second chance points. The league average on offensive rebounds is like 20%. So if you miss 30 shots, you should have 6 offensive rebounds by accident. And then to have no second chance points on that. They ended up with 2 second chance points the entire night, I think. 4. The Sacramento Kings missed 45 shots tonight and had 4 second chance points. Great defense by the Jazz, or incredibly feckless effort by the Sacramento Kings. I think both can be true and probably are the story of the night, because of the fact that it's hard to go overboard on the Jazz winning and just being great tonight, considering how disastrous a performance that was by Sacramento without De'Aaron Fox and Harrison Barnes, and how good a performance that was with the Jazz without Mike Conley and Donovan Mitchell. Let me say this. I thought it'd be a close game. I thought the Jazz would win. I thought it'd be a really close game, though. You looked at their roster when they started, and you're like, okay, they don't have enough talent. We should be okay, but it's going to be an effort. And I thought the difference in the game would be whether or not we could survive the 18 minutes that Joe Ingles didn't play. We came into the game with an offensive rating of a 0 percentile in those minutes, and Trent Forrest did a nice job, and the Jazz kept their energy going, and that's really what the key to the whole game in the second quarter was, those non-Joe Ingles minutes that they didn't fall apart. All right, let's get to your comments and your thoughts. Colton Thompson, wow, just wow. Sacramento is bad, but the Jazz were great tonight. Best call. Luke Walton calls a timeout and resigns. I did say that. This is great. I got to show. So there's like the most professional broadcaster and one of the great broadcasters in the NBA right there. And then there's me. And I'm not that. I'm not that. Never have been, never will be. And yes, tonight, my call at one point was, and Luke Walton calls a timeout and he resigns. No, just kidding. But it seemed like a reasonable option. See, for those like 5 people out there who occasionally tweet me and say, like, you should do TV. No, I shouldn't. You know why? Because I'd be unemployed in one game. I also did say on the air tonight that the Kings have as much energy as the paper cutouts in the arena. That was on the air. Hey, I am what I am. George is unrestricted this offseason. Are the Jazz going to be able to keep him, and how well he's playing? It's a good question, Andrew. I don't know if the rest of the league understands how good a player George Niang is and what he brings to the table. But when you shoot 40% from 3, it gets real. And when we're over the luxury tax, it gets real to try to keep him. So I think that could be hard. The best former Cyclone tonight was George. Number 2 was Matt Thomas. Yeah, Halliburton's not bad. He wasn't playing with anyone. Why don't they play Ramsey? I think he's going to be all right. Can you introduce me to Jingling Joe Ingles? Hi, Matt Moon. Nice to see you. From Andrew, why can't we do this more often? Everyone was on point. Andrew, because we don't play the Sacramento Kings every night. If you played Sacramento almost every night, you probably would look like this. They're 30th in the league defensively, and there's 30 teams. After Minnesota fiasco, this win looks colossal. I'm excited that everybody's fired up about this win. I seriously, like Minnesota, like it's weird because Minnesota played a total style, and there wasn't a single thing about this game in which they followed the same style. We're going to see Phoenix with elite athletes is going to come out and defend us the exact same way that Minnesota did. It will be interesting to see if we can find them. Kind of feels like the King deserves to lose by 50, but they got away with 49. I like round numbers. Russell Westbrook fan in the house. George Niang is a gym rat competitor, and it shows, says Chase. Yes, it does. I'm very happy for him. Jazz are better. Yeah, Jazz are better without Mike Conley, he says with a wink. Blessing in disguise is getting more minutes. Matt Thomas is way faster than I thought. He can create his own shot if he gets the opportunity. I think the blessing in disguise is our guy's got a mentally 0 night of difficulty. What are our odds of beating the Spurs and Raptors without Mike Conley? Honestly, the real test for us right now is to not go 0-4 in the next 4 games. I mean, I'm not trying to be overly dramatic, but we play 4 really good teams in our next 4 games without Mike Conley and Donovan Mitchell. So if we can go 2-2 somehow and not the Spurs get the first game against the Spurs, they come in on a back-to-back on a brutal road trip before they get rested for the second game. That would be great. If we can find a way to beat Phoenix or Toronto, that'd be great. If we go 2-2, maybe we can hold on to the 1 seed. Maybe. I mean, really, the other thing we got to do is make sure we don't get caught by the Clippers. There's a large argument that the Clippers losing tonight was really good for us because if we don't get 1 and we get 2, it actually could end up having absolutely no impact. You play the 7 seed, you know who they are earlier, you get to prep, you play that matchup, you then play the Clippers in the second round, which is hard, but it's, you know what, the second round's going to be brutal no matter who you play. And then if the Lakers actually advance, you go back to having home court advantage for the finals anyway. So if the Suns advance, you play the Suns on the road. We'd probably rather play the Suns on the road than LeBron and AD in the Western Conference Finals. So there's an argument that says that the 2 seed's not dramatically terrible. You're playing a better team than you are of an 8 seed, I would think. But you know what? Maybe Dame Lillard and Portland struggling is better than Steph Curry. So it's, maybe not. Maybe that's actually the better route. But so in some ways, tonight's pretty important because we have the tiebreaker against Clippers and they just lost. So if you can go 2-2 in those 4, what you really make sure you don't do is you don't drop to 3. And I think that's maybe the most important part about this. Let's go to doesn't completely make up for blowing both games at Minnesota, but good bounce back. I just want to say, for a second, I got the idea that we think we should have beat Minnesota both games, but we did not have Donovan Mitchell, right? We know that guy's really, really good, don't we? I thought it was interesting some of the questions were asked to Quinn of what's your concern level? We didn't have Donovan, our team's really largely built on Donovan Mitchell's offense. So to not have Donovan Mitchell, to me, I got to be honest, it wasn't mind blowing to me that we could lose both to Minnesota. I think we probably should have won one of the two if we shot better. But you tell me, oh, you're playing without Donovan Mitchell and you have a bad shooting night. Oh, okay, well then we have a real chance of losing both. It didn't seem as, it's a bummer because of the fact that the 1 seed was on the line and we finally got hit by injuries, which we hadn't been hit by all year. But it didn't seem to me to be the craziest thing I've ever seen. Spencer says best defensive game by Niang. And Michael says sports is all about ebbs and flows. Winning cures all. And all those complaining about the too many losses are quiet tonight. Stay the course and be patient. Going to be honest, I don't even watch the game today, but it's good to hear we won. All right. But thanks for coming to the post-game show. Jazz win. Franchise record. 49-point win. Takes 2 to tango on the Jazz win tonight.